Hello, in today's class, I will be discussing on methods of seasoning. In previous class, we have discussed on seasoning and the importance of seasoning. In today's class, we will be discussing on the methods of seasoning. The seasoning of timber, we are going to classify into two types. One is natural seasoning of timber, other one is artificial seasoning of timber. What is natural seasoning of timber? In this method, the seasoning of timber is carried out by natural air, and hence this method is called as air seasoning. So, the atmospheric air which is present, the dry air which is present in the atmosphere, we will be using this dry air for doing seasoning of timber. So, this type of seasoning we call it as natural seasoning. Let us discuss how natural seasoning of timber is done. The timber is stacked the horizontally and also the vertically. These are the timber which is cut in the form of the logs or the planks. These are placed in these directions, and in between the two layers we are going to place a spacers. These are the spacers. The arrangement is made above the ground, that is 30 centimeter above the ground over a platform. Even bottom also we are going to give a pillars, we are going to give a support for the bottom, and over these supports we are going to place a platform, and over this platform the timbers are stacked. The timber is covered by a roof, so that the rain, it should prevent the seasoning of timber from the rain. So that's why this type of the roofing has been provided. The height is 300 centimeter, that is 3 meter is the height of the roof, and timbers are spaced between the air space is left between one timber plank and another timber plank. So this is how the staking of timber is done in a rainproof or in a place where the water or rain will not enter, and you have to take care that the space 30 centimeter space is left above the ground level. And this is how the placement of the planks are being done in the factories. So this is how the staking of the timber is done. You can see the spacers which are provided, and this is the air gaps. The air gaps are provided so that circulation of air takes place. This is another view where the timbers are stacked for seasoning. The timber in log form is cut and sawn into two suitable sizes, and these sections we call it as planks or rectangular sections. The timber pieces are stacked either horizontal or vertical. The sawn timber is stacked under a covered shed, as I mentioned you earlier. The platform of the stack is made suitably higher, above 30 centimeter or 300 mm above the ground level. The timber pieces are sorted out according to lengths and thickness, and they are arranged in layers. So we have to sort out the pieces of timber, and each layer is separated by spacers of sound wood, dry wood you have to use. Whenever you use the wood for the spacing, that's used as a spacers, it should be a dry seasoned wood. And length of stake is equal to the length of timber pieces, and width and height of the stacks are limited to 1.5 meter to 3 meter, not more than that. And distance of about 25 mm is kept between adjacent layers. One layer to another layer, we have to keep a minimum distance of 25 mm. And similar stacks will be constructed, and from one stack to another stack, the distance between should be 600 mm. That is 60 centimeter distance should be maintained between one stack to another stack. Similar stacks are placed in a large spaces, gordons. Okay. This is how the timber arrangement is done, and this is how the natural seasoning takes place. Because of this type of the placement, the air gets circulated inside, and naturally the seasoning will takes place. Let us see some of the advantages of natural seasoning. Depending upon the climatic conditions, moisture content of wood can be reduced to 10 to 20% in this. And this type of seasoning does not require any skilled supervision. And thicker sections of timber, that is more than 100 mm, is usually seasoned by this process, as it is uneconomical by artificial seasoning. If you go for another method of artificial seasoning, it will be uneconomical. Hence, we use this type of seasoning because it is cheap. This method of timber seasoning is cheap and it is simple. But there are some disadvantages also. As the process depends on natural air, it is sometimes very difficult to control it. Controlling will be difficult because sometimes you will get moist air, sometimes you will be getting warm air. The drying of different surfaces may not be uneven, may not be even. It will be uneven and ununiform. Ununiform takes place. Some place it gets more seasoned and some place it gets less seasoning. Okay, because of the air circulation. And ends of the sections of timber should be suitably moisture proof coating should be done. If you do not provide any moisture proof coating, there is a chance of splitting at the ends. The corners or ends of timber get splitted because of uneven seasoning. So at the ends what you have to do is you have to give a moisture proof coating. And if the process is not properly attended, there is a chances of fungi and insects attack. You have to frequently monitor it. Okay, you have to see regularly, we have to visit the place and you have to regularly visit how seasoning is taking place. And in this method, the moisture content of the wood may be brought down to the desired level, say about 30 to 40% of the moisture content we have to remove. We can remove. And the process of seasoning is very slow. And usually it takes about minimum 2 years to make the timber fit for the carpentry work. So these are some of the disadvantages of seasoning. That is disadvantages of natural seasoning. Because of those disadvantages, as we know, the natural seasoning, it takes 2 years, say 6 months to 2 years it will take depending on the type of timber, depending on the moisture content present in timber and depending on the size of sections which we be using for the seasoning. So to overcome these disadvantages, we are going for the artificial seasoning. There are different methods of artificial seasoning of timber. One is boiling method, chemical seasoning, that is using chemicals we are going to do the seasoning, electrical seasoning by passing electric currents, kiln seasoning, water seasoning, microwave seasoning. The microwave seasoning is somewhat higher cost. So boiling, so what are the different types of artificial seasoning of timber? Boiling, chemical seasoning, electrical seasoning, kiln seasoning, microwave seasoning and water seasoning. We will be discussing about this artificial seasoning in my next video. Thank you.